Who doesn't remember those afternoons at the arcade, spending all their coins on Metal Slug, that game that combined frenetic action, crazy weapons, giant bosses, and screaming soldiers who turned into zombies? Today I'm going to tell you about its beginnings, its interesting facts, and why it remains a video game gem. Metal Slug was born in 1996 thanks to SNK and Nazca Corporation. It appeared on the legendary Neo Geo, the luxury console of the time, and quickly became an arcade classic. Its full name was Metal Slug, Super Vehicle 01. And what caught our attention from the start was its cartoonish style mixed with military action. The gameplay was simple but addictive. Advance while shooting everything that moves. Rescue prisoners of war who, by the way, gave you extremely powerful weapons and faced gigantic final bosses. Every detail was carefully thought out, from the funny enemy animations to the spectacular explosions. Fun fact, did you know that Metal Slug's animations were so detailed that some took weeks to draw frame by frame? That explains why the game feels so alive. With the success of the first, the sequels arrived. Metal Slug 2, X3, 4, each adding more weapons, more characters, and even crazy transformations like turning into a mummy or a zombie. But here are some fun facts. The prisoners of war you rescued actually have names and biographies, although almost no one knows this. The Metal Slug tank is inspired by Japanese World War II tanks, but with a cartoonish design to avoid making it too serious. Metal Slug 3 is considered by many to be the best of the series, and also the most difficult, with extremely long levels. The game's dark humor, such as enemies eating or dancing, was a way to soften the war theme. Metal Slug transcended the arcades. It came to consoles, PCs, mobile devices, and even the recent announcement of Metal Slug Tactics, a strategic twist that proves the franchise is still alive. What began as a simple run-and-gun game ended up leaving its mark on an entire generation of gamers. Metal Slug isn't just a game, it's an experience that combines nostalgia, fun, and a style that no one has been able to imitate. And even though it's been almost 30 years since its release, it's still just as addictive. Tell me in the comments, what's your favorite Metal Slug, and how many coins did you spend on it? What made Metal Slug unique wasn't just the non-stop shooting. Every detail was hand-animated, from enemies scratching their heads to prisoners thanking you with an exaggerated thank you. It was action, but with humor. Prisoner Rescue gives you were given special weapons, Transformations gives you could gain weight if you ate too much, or turn into a zombie in Metal Slug 3. Additional vehicles gives beyond the tank, there were camels, airplanes, and submarines. Metal Slug is full of interesting facts that few people know about. The saga's enemies are inspired by real armies, but with a comical touch to avoid being too controversial. Each prisoner you rescue has an official name, although almost no one remembers them in the game. Metal Slug 2 was so laggy that SNK released Metal Slug X just to fix it and add extras. The absurd humor, like watching soldiers grilling meat in the middle of the battlefield, was what set it apart from more serious games like Contra. Over the years, Metal Slug has moved from arcades to PlayStation, Game Boy Advance, mobile devices, and now even PC. Not only that, in 2021, Metal Slug Tactics was announced, a strategy game that proves the franchise still has a future. Metal Slug didn't just stay in the arcade, it became a cultural icon with its pixel art graphics and unmistakable music. Metal Slug is more than a game, it's a part of our childhood and arcade history. With its mix of action, humor, and difficulty, it taught us that video games could be chaotic, but also hilarious. Now imagine this, a future where Metal Slug is no longer played on a screen, but in a holographic version projecting soldiers, tanks, and explosions in the middle of your living room. It would be like having a living arcade in front of you. You could move around the battlefield, dodging attacks in 3D, while enemies appear next to you. If Metal Slug was already difficult with its controls, imagine dodging virtual bullets while running around your own home. You could fight alongside your friends in shared holograms. Reliving the arcade experience, but now with a futuristic twist. Of course, the amount of animations and explosions that make Metal Slug unique would be a huge challenge for holographic technology. If the future brings us holographic games, Metal Slug would be the perfect way to make the leap. Explosions, humor, and action now before our eyes. The question is, would we enjoy it as much as we did on the arcade machine, or would it lose that retro magic that makes it special? Now let's play with our imaginations. What would happen if Metal Slug merged with other games? incredible things could happen. Or totally crazy things. Metal Slug by Contra, two of the kings of run and gun combined, it would be the ultimate blend of endless bullets, giant bosses, and brutal action. Although we'd probably end up crying because it was so difficult. Metal Slug by Call of Duty, a realistic military crossover with the cartoonish style of Metal Slug, serious soldiers shooting. Suddenly, a prisoner shouts, "Thank you." With a roast chicken in his hand. Metal Slug for Mario Brothers. Can you imagine Mario in an SV-001 tank shooting giant Koopas? It would be the most unexpected and fun crossover. Metal Slug for Fortnite, with the Battle Royale trend, a Fortnite-style Metal Slug could have giant maps, ridiculous skins, and, of course, ridiculous dances after each victory. Metal Slug by Street Fighter, combining run and gun with one-on-one combat, Marco shooting at Ryu while he throws a Hadouken, total chaos. The truth is, Metal Slug is so versatile that it could fit into almost any universe, but in the end, its essence will always be that unbridled action, absurd humor, and bosses that take up half the screen. While Metal Slug is an arcade gem, not everything was perfect. There are several things that could have been improved over time, which might have taken it even further. Difficulty and the coin munching the game was so difficult that it was practically designed to empty your pockets at the arcade. A balance option or more accessible modes would have made it more enjoyable for more players without so much frustration. Innovation in the sequels? Although the first installments are legendary, many later ones felt they were too repetitive. More innovative missions or different stories would have refreshed the series. Online multiplayer, Metal Slug was always amazing in local QOP, but imagining it with online support since the 2000s would have kept the series alive for decades with massive communities. The leap to 3D? There were attempts to bring Metal Slug to 3D, but they were never very successful. If SNK had opted for a hybrid style, with modern graphics but respecting classic art, it might be competing with major shooters today. Exploring the narrative, the saga always had charismatic characters like Marco, Tarma, and Eri, but it never delved deeper into their stories. A little more lore would have made fans even more engaged. While Metal Slug's main plot was always simpler, the heroes of the Peregrine Falcon fighting General Morden and his armies, there was plenty of room for new story expansion. Here are a few that could have been implemented to give the series an incredible twist. An internal rebellion in the Peregrine Falcon unit? What would happen if one of the protagonists went over to the enemy side? This would have added drama and betrayal, breaking with the classic hero versus villain formula. Total alien invasion. While we saw aliens in Metal Slug 3, it could have been explored more. A full-blown war between humanity and an alien race, with the heroes as the planet's last hope. A post-apocalyptic future. Imagine a Metal Slug set in a world devastated by past wars, where the characters not only fight against soldiers, but also for survival against hunger, mutants, and ruined cities. Personal stories of the main characters. How did Marco, Tarma Eri, and Theo join the squad? What did they leave behind to become heroes? A deeper narrative would have made fans care even more about them, an unexpected alliance with General Morden instead of always being the villain. An interesting twist would be for the protagonists to have to ally with Morden to face a greater threat. Aliens, robots, or even a traitor within humanity itself. Metal Slug always won us over with bullets and humor, but imagine if it had explored deeper stories. Would it have worked just as well, or would it have lost its arcade essence? What alternate history would you have liked to see in Metal Slug? Tell me in the comments, subscribe and like, and see you in the next video.